This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Now then, if you were watching yesterday, then you know what's inside this box, but if you weren't, I'll tell you. 30 years ago, 1992, was the last time I owned a guitar with the words Gibson, Les Paul and Made in the USA written on it. And, well, now I own another one. Let's get it out the box.
Go on, lad. Way out.
Right then, the unboxing part of the video that you've just seen was actually yesterday in real time. I didn't have time to film this part of the video yesterday, and I've basically took the opportunity to have a little bit of a noodle on the guitar and did a few lessons with it, and just come to some conclusions and first impressions, really, not conclusions, to share with you today. If you see me glancing over there a little bit, it's because I've got a notepad propped up on the desk with some jottings that I'm going to share with you. Let me tell you about the story of this guitar. As I said, 1992, 30 years ago, basically, I was laid off from my job as a lab technician, and I put an ad in the local paper. If anybody from this part of the world remembers the Teesside Times, I put an ad in that paper offering guitar lessons, and I thought it'll tide me over till a proper job comes along, and here I am 30 years later. Anyway, basically I was out of work until the guitar lesson thing started taking off, and a few economies had to be made, and one of them was I sold the Les Paul that I had back then. And it's 30 years since I've owned a Gibson Les Paul. I've owned a few, quite a lot of Les Paul style guitars, single cut style guitars in the intervening years. A couple of Gordon Smiths, I guess you could call those Les Paul style guitars, but mainly from the budget end of the market, you know, Epiphone, Vintage, Harley Benton, Tanglewood, all the usual suspects basically, and had a bit of a checkered history with them. I'd love to be able to give you, a rational, reasoned account as to why I decided to get this, but the truth is, it was an itch that needed scratching, and that's about it. Although, my last tax bill was a bit chunkier than I was expecting, so I thought, well, if guitars are tax deductible, which they are for me because of what I do for a living, I thought I might as well, spend the money on a guitar and hopefully do something that will reduce that liability a little bit. Anyway, as you can probably tell, this is, and you probably know if you saw the video yesterday, this is not a Les Paul standard, this is a Les Paul Tribute. It's essentially the entry-level made in the USA Gibson Les Paul. It costs less than half the price of a Les Paul standard, but for me, it's a damn sight more than half the guitar. I'll just have a rundown what the differences are between this and the Les Paul standard. Structurally, I guess the main thing is that this guitar has a maple neck as opposed to a mahogany neck on a Les Paul standard. Does that make a difference? We'll see, basically. But there's been plenty of good-sounding maple-necked Les Pauls over the years. Isn't Joe Perry's signature Gibson Les Paul? Doesn't have a maple neck, I think it does. Pickup-wise, this guitar has the 490 humbuckers as opposed to the burst buckers that are on the Les Paul standard. Essentially, these are Alnico 2 pickups rather than the Alnico 5 burst buckers. And if I have to, kind of make a choice, then I think I do prefer Alnico 2 humbuckers. They've just got that little bit, they're a little bit more mellow sounding, usually, that's the case. This guitar has no binding anywhere on it, although, you do see the join there between the the maple and the maple top and the mahogany body. It's not as pronounced as it was in the pictures that I was looking at of this guitar, but binding, not really a thing for me on the body. I don't really care either way. Again, you look at the Gary Moore signature Les Paul, which I've drooled over many times. If you've seen that Phil Lynott tribute gig one night in Dublin, go and check out his Les Paul that he's playing on that. That has no body binding, and of course this has no binding on the neck, which for me is actually, I prefer a neck without binding. It's not a deal breaker either way, but, Coke versus Pepsi, if you have to express a preference, then I prefer a neck without binding. The price was a big factor in me kind of choosing this one, it has to be said. If you can save £1,000 or more, then why wouldn't you? And the other main selling factor for me on this is it's got a satin finish, which, again, I've said many times, not a deal breaker either way, gloss versus satin for me, but I do, if I have to express a preference, prefer satin. So what does it sound like? That's what we're waiting for. Well, at the moment, just for these kind of walk-through, talk-through kind of videos, I always just plug into the Positive Grid Spark, and at the moment I'm going through that particular amp model on the Spark. I'll do a full review of this where I'm using some rather more opulent and luxurious tones, courtesy of Bias Amp 2, once I've had the guitar a little while and had time to come to some conclusions with it. But into that amp model, I'm on the neck pickup now. I've got the volume control rolled back to about 3, and I've got this kind of tone. Like a vintage clean sound, just that edge of breakup. And back in the days before channel switching amps, this is what this switch was for. It was your clean and dirty amp channel. Because if I now go down to the bridge pickup, I've got that sort of sound. It kind of has that thing that many people talk about with a Les Paul. It's like a Telecaster on steroids, a bionic Telecaster. It's got that kind of sound. Is that as a result of that brightness, as a result of the maple neck? Who knows? I mean, I'm sure that will spark all kinds of debates. Tone wood adherence versus the opposition. All I know is that anything that puts any guitar in this ballpark of having a remotely Telecaster-like sound is a big tick in the plus column for me. The other thing is, if I just kind of turn the volumes off, and just strum unplugged, you'll hear what a resonant guitar this is. It's the kind of guitar that you can sit in front of the TV unplugged, and as I know from last night, the amount of noise it makes, even without being plugged in, will get the odd kind of questioning look from the missus. It's a very bright, loud, resonant guitar acoustically. Again, whether or not that translates into the amplified tone is something that people will debate till the cows come home. What I can tell you is that, like, when I'm doing this, I'm actually feeling the body of the guitar vibrate through me rib cage, through all this kind of, extra padding that I think we've picked up over the years. And what that does, much like the Yamaha Revstar that I got recently, a resonant kind of guitar that just feels alive with every note, and just seems to kind of fizz with resonance. I can't think of another word for it. It does make you play with more exuberance and enthusiasm as you're kind of attacking every note. So, and that certainly does affect the amplified tone of the instrument. So again, this has got what the Gibson call the ultra modern weight relief. It's a chambered body, again, much like the Yamaha Revstar. So it does have that. That kind of thing in common with it, and it really does, kind of excite me to play it. It's a very fulfilling playing experience. So it's shaping up really well at the moment, and that positivity continues with the setup. This guitar arrived immaculately set up. It was pretty much within a gnat's whisker of being perfectly in tune straight out of the box, and of course it comes with, if I just, you saw this in the unboxing earlier, I say out of the case and out of the box, because it comes with this rather nice, fairly rigid, substantial, soft case. It's a bit more than a gig bag, but not quite as much as a hard shell case. It certainly will offer a degree of protection. And do the job for protecting the guitar, unless, of course, you drop it from a great height, but why would you do that? So really, really nicely set up straight out of the box stroke case. Just doing a little bit of check on the neck relief there. There is what I would call, in the words of Mr. Creosote, a wafer thin business card's worth of clearance at the 12th fret. When you check that is pretty much perfectly dialed in neck relief there. Action, I must dig out my string height ruler, because I just keep using this steel ruler. I've got kind of used to reading it there. Action is, dear me, pretty much bang on at the 12th fret, 1.5 millimeters. Low, slinky action with a slick feeling satin finished neck. It does make for a rather fast playing experience. Whether I've had enough coffee to demonstrate that at the moment remains to be seen, but yeah, you can certainly rattle around on this neck and build up a head of steam when the mood takes you. It's a very low, slippery action on this neck. It feels very, very fast indeed. So it's all, as I say, shaping up rather well. There's a couple of little things that I'm not really. I thought, what on that? First of all, if you'll have noticed, since I did the unboxing yesterday, the poker chip has been installed. It was in the sort of pocket in the gig bag, the case there when it was here, and they choose not to put it on. They choose not to finish building the guitar. You could say that in the factory. I understand some people like it on, some people like it off, but for whatever reason they've decided to err on the side of the people who like to kind of have it not on the guitar. It's a bit of a fiddly faff around to fit this, and frankly I wish it had been done in the factory, but it is what it is. The other thing I will bring to your attention is this here, this is a close-up shot, as close as I could get, of the join between the neck and the fingerboard, and that sort of line there that you can see between the neck and the fingerboard isn't a glue line or anything like that. That's just the light catching. There's a little lip between the where the neck joins the fretboard. The fretboard is, like, again, to use a technical term, a gnat's whisker narrower than the neck. And it just leaves, there's just that tiny little ledge there, which if I move this up here close, you can, as I run my nail past it, maybe you can hear it. So, you know, that's there. Now, part of me thinks, well, you don't get that on a 200 quid Harley Benton, but, you know, it is what it is. Does it affect playability? Not in the slightest. You know, it's there, and if you look for it, you'll know it's there. But it's not something that, you know, it's actually more looking down at this angle. You don't tend to see it. It's more close up when you look at that kind of angle when you see it. It's just, you know, I would. You know, it's not something that's going to make me want to send the guitar back, but it is when you spend the kind of money that a guitar like this costs. It shouldn't really be there, and I'll leave it at that. It's not going to make me, you know, not like the guitar, but it is there. And if I'm sharing my first impressions with you, that needed to be talked about. So that's pretty much it. Those are my first impressions of this guitar. Overall, a very positive experience. You know, it's there will be a full review coming at some point in the next week or so, where I do all of the kind of weights and measures of the guitar. How much does it weigh? What's the nut width? What's the neck profile? You know, all that sort of stuff. We'll get into that, but this is just a first quick and dirty first impressions look at the guitar. There will also be a comparison with the rather wonderful Yamaha Revstar that I acquired recently. Let me go and grab it for you, actually, so you know, it's this guitar here, which has really captured my heart in a big way, and they look rather different, but they do largely the same jobs. You know, mahogany set neck, twin humbucker, 24 3/4 inch scale. But both guitars basically do that thing, and well, I can't really justify keeping both of them. So what I'm going to do is let the dust settle a little bit, and let the novelty new guitar factor wear off a little bit, and then come to a decision about which one will be the long-term resident here at Robson Towers, and I'll keep you posted on that, and obviously there'll be videos comparing them and stuff as we go forward. But that is pretty much the story for today, folks. The unboxing and first impressions of the Gibson Les Paul Tribute that I've just bought. I'm going to have some fun playing this and make some, hopefully, nice music with it. But that's the video for today. Hope you've enjoyed it and found it reasonably entertaining. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not give me a like while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer and talk music and guitars. What's not to like about that? Fantastic way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.